Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Enter the Ether, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person MOBA Ethereal Clash of Souls. I'm your host, the Mangoose, and while I may be content to sit back on my throne like Jabba the Hutt, feeding on whatever morsels of information Undying might feed me, my friend and co-host JellyKnees is more like Boba the Fett, getting out there, sticking his tinfoil cap on, getting down and dirty, and finding that information for himself, and that's what he's done this week. Jelly, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mangoose. I was wondering where that comparison was going. If you're Jabba the Hutt, like where you were gonna put me. Maybe I was gonna be the like girl that was feeding you slugs out of the like. But I'd way rather be Boba. Okay, if I had to be somebody.
God. What was the little thing that stood next to him? Oh, I always forget its name.
Oh God, if that's not me in a nutshell, I'd happily be that thing.
I think you'd rather be Boba Fett. Who wouldn't want to be Boba Fett?
Exactly. Everybody wants to be Boba Fett. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This week, I've spent like the entire week digging through the video file that they sent us for our videos and finding out stats for the camps, doing all the armor calculations, a whole 9 yards. Yeah. So that's been my week.
Yeah, you went down and dirty on this. Jelly knows all this information. I don't. He sent me the slides and I was just like, oh, and my brain almost exploded. So Jelly is going to be taking the lead this week. Jelly, do it up, brother. We'll talk about it.
All right. So I guess the easy thing to start with is leveling, right? The levels, from what I could see in the video, increase by 50 XP required for every level. So to get from level 1 to level 2, you need 200 XP. From level 2 to 3 is 250. Level 3 to 4 is 300. It just increases by 50 every level.
Okay.
And it's not just an additional 50. So I had somebody ask me this and I understood why they were asking, but it's hard to explain. It refreshes every time. So you need 200 from level 1 to 2, and then it refreshes and you need the full 250 from level 2 to 3. It's not just the 50 additional XP.
Yeah, that would be a little broken.
Yeah, wouldn't it? But so because of that, we actually saw that after like 2 camps in the video, they were able to hit level 2 pretty darn quick. And that's because, so the XP is kind of nuts. And I think this is something that if the jungle stays this way, could be potentially problematic, is that we see the little lizard camps. Mm-hmm. Each individual minion, each individual lizard gives 35 XP. So if you hit a camp that has all 4, you're getting 140 XP out of that camp in 1 camp.
Okay.
So essentially, you're going to run 2 camps and get level 2 no matter what. And then if that continues, because the XP scales by a flat number, that it's going to be easier and easier to accrue those levels as you go through the game because you're clearing camps faster and faster.
But the camps level up after you clear them, though.
Increase. Say again?
The camps level up and will get a little more difficult to take each time, though, yeah?
Yeah. And so that's, for all of the information I have today, it's all based on the camps being level 1.
Okay.
I don't have any information of higher than that because they only killed the same camp once.
Right.
So there's no leveling up that I can do any calculations on. Other than for Malaia, but we'll talk about her later. But so for the lizard and skifter camps, they're the exact same stat pools. So the lizards and the little crab creatures, they have 41 physical power. So they're not terribly strong, but they do damage. They have 15 armor, and they have 600 health for those camps at level 1. So really, if you have 4 of those lizards, you have to do 2,400 damage to clear the entire camp. Something else that's kind of nice that I appreciated in trying to do all these calculations is if you get a minion down to that 1-hit number, or 1-hit level of health, and you strike them, the damage number that pops up is actually how much health it took to kill them, not the full damage of whatever you just did.
Oh, okay.
So it was easier for me to calculate in that regard, their health pools, because I didn't have to try and like pixel frame count each tick and figure out where that threshold was. No, it was way easier to just, oh, okay, it was 206 times and then 50 health after that, right? No big deal. So the lizard and skifters are the same, like I said. They're red buff camp. The buffs, I am curious about the stats. So I should say all of these stats are subject to change. right?
Right.
I may have to do all of this math again in a handful of weeks when they release new footage, and I'll
Right.
look at it and be like, no, they're 18 armor now instead of 15 armor. Great, that screws everything up, right? The red buff camp, which was the second camp he took in the footage they sent us, has 118 physical power, and it's got this like quick 3-hit strike that if you're a jungler that's not paying attention, you could easily get down to low health.
Yeah.
Getting hit by this early on. So that makes me think that this red buff camp, despite him starting there, probably won't be a starter for a lot of people.
Unless people help out.
Because if you mess it up, you can get low health really, really fast. It has 0 armor to compensate, so you do maximum damage to it. But the fact that it does that much damage early on, and it has 1600 health as well,
right,
shows that it's gonna do some serious work on you. The nice thing that Skifter, I think, showed off well in the footage he sent us is dodging attacks. You can actually, because they're attacking, they have actual attack animations on the camps. He was able to walk in basic attack and step backwards and dodge, I would say probably 50% of the attacks.
Okay, good.
So that's something that was, exactly. For me as a jungler, that was like, okay, if I figure out what those animations look like and the timings and all of that good stuff, I could reasonably dodge the majority, if not all of the attacks of these camps just by having smart movement around them.
Right.
Which is super cool, but I think is also going to cause problems when people do get to that level, because then I'm taking no damage and can walk into lanes essentially full health with all of this XP and gold that I've accumulated for essentially free. There's nothing to force me back to base except the gold, just to spend my money.
Right. I don't know. I don't have much of a problem with that. It's a reward for skill-based jungle clear, but they need to make it to where you really have to be very good with it in order to do something like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably where they should go, is making the timings super particular. That even if you know how, it's still easy to miss and get hit by an attack. You have to be really, really on top of making sure those dodges are pixel perfect every time.
Maybe throw in an RNG slash somewhere that you're just not going to be able to avoid.
Oh God, that would feel so bad, but I totally understand at the same time.
If they're too easy to clear, then yeah.
Yeah. So the red buff gives 120 XP at level 1. So by itself, it's giving you half of your level. I know in a lot of MOBAs, the first camp tries to give you that level 1.
Right.
And going through all of the stats, there is no camp that gives you the immediate next level by itself. So you will always initially have to take 2 camps to hit level 2.
What if you take Ice Wyvern at level 1?
The XP actually was turned off for Ice Wyvern, so I have no idea. Skifter, we'll do the Wyverns in a bit here, but Skifter managed to perfectly dodge every Wyvern attack for both of them. So I have no idea how much damage they do.
Really?
Yeah.
That's slick.
I was sitting there like almost impressed, but also mad at the same time. I'm like, you couldn't have gotten hit once. Like, I just need 1 hit to calculate. Nope, he dodged every single attack.
Nice. Well, we know Skifter's going to be a good jungler then.
Yeah, but he's not going to be better than me. So whatever.
Shit! Shots fired.
Because the better Skungle wins,
fired.
Man. The better Skungle wins every time.
I'm glad that the jungles are skill based, because that means I can steal jungle from you easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a support.
Absolutely. I think the buffs having no armor is an interesting way to do it. Some of them do. Some of them don't have armor and some of them do. But it's, to me, I feel like the buffs should be that intermediate camp between the lizards and skifters and the chonkers.
Right.
Because the chonkers are intended to be that like hulking force that gives you a lot of reward for it. But the buffs with no armor means that late game, if they have no armor still, it's going to be really easy to walk up and one-tap those buffs.
And the chonkers are the old Paragon assets, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the chonkers themselves, the chonkers have 78 physical power. So they're not weak, but they're not terribly strong either. They have 20 armor, so they don't resist a lot of damage. So the way armor works in Ethereal is similar to League. If any of you guys know how the armor works in League, it's not a straight 1-to-1 comparison. 20 armor doesn't negate 20 damage. What it is armor lowers your percentage of damage that you receive. So if you have, only because it's the figure I know the most clean, is if you have 100 armor, you essentially take half physical damage.
Okay.
So you only receive 50% of the physical damage. So it's exponential instead of just being a 1-to-1. So 20 armor, if I had to just guess off the top of my head, you're taking about 15% less damage. Because it's a curve. So it's the first couple armor points are more beneficial than just unlimited stacking of armor. So you're able to get to that 15% damage mitigation a lot faster than you are to get to the 50% at 100 armor.
Right. Okay.
So because of that, so 20 armor, not terribly much, but early game when you're trying to stack those resources, get the gold and XP as fast as possible, it's definitely enough to cause problems. And they have 2100 health. So they are the healthiest jungle camps aside from the wyverns at the moment.
Okay. And the reward, you don't get it's not like a gold buff. You don't get a buff that gives you extra gold and XP, right? You just get a lot of gold and XP for killing that thing.
Yeah. So for the chonkers, you're going to get 175 gold and 150 XP. So essentially double almost any other camp for the gold, and then almost double of every camp except the buffs for XP.
Okay, right on.
So they're going to be worth taking in a lot of cases, especially for that 200 gold. For a quick 200 gold, if you can crank through those chonker camps, you could actually get a decent lead moving forward.
Is it 200 or 175?
Sorry, 175.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no slouch of amount of gold.
Right.
You can stack that up pretty quick. For a single minion to give you that, that's a big deal. So the other camps that are important, so the other open camp is the troll camp. The trolls, I feel like, and it depends what their rotation buff does. If the rotation buff is really strong, I think the trolls need to be tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now they're kind of just there. It seems like and it's according to their stats at least. They have 67 physical power, so they hit semi-hard depending on your armor. They have 25 armor, so they have more armor than the chonker camps. But their health is only 1,000. So it's going to be relatively simple to go in there and deal some damage to these camps at 1,000 health and get whatever this rotational buff is.
Right.
Whatever.
And you're not going to take a whole lot of damage from that.
Yeah.
Unless
especially
they have some kind of
because
special
their attacks are really slow.
Okay.
So being able to step backwards and dodge that and then come back in and smack them again, relatively an easy thing. From what I could see, the buffs are going to be the hardest ones to dodge because they have the multi-hit combos in comparison to the lizards or the skifters, the chonkers, or the trolls.
Okay.
Which I'm okay with to an extent.
This is terminology. Lizards are the skifters, the chonkers are the trolls.
Yeah, I mean, it's just normal now for me. I've been staring at them all week. So yeah, the trolls, if the buff is really strong, I think the trolls need to be way tougher.
Yeah.
To take down. And granted, in the footage, Skifter makes it look really easy, but he also has 6 items in the footage that he's using.
Right.
His damage would be significantly lower at level 1, which, like I said, we'll talk about Malaia's stats at level 1 in a second here. So real quick, we'll go over the kind of other couple buffs. We've got purple buff, 20 physical power. Knowing that the support is the one they intend to get this buff, it's not very strong, it doesn't have much health, and it has no armor. It's got 20 physical power, 0 armor, and 1600 health. So a carry support could easily walk up, kind of quickly take care of that, let the support pick it up and walk away.
Right. Or the jungler,
gives 100...
like we said, will probably just take that, and it'll just be easy for them to up their damage.
100%. 100%. And all the buffs have the same gold and XP that they give, regardless.
Okay.
So they all give 125 gold and 120 XP. Green buff, to me, green buff should be the hardest one to kill. Similar to the chonkers, it should be the tanky one because it's giving you the shield.
Right.
It's not. It's the second hardest. Blue buff is somehow the hardest one to kill. But green buff is 61 physical power, 15 armor, 1600 health, and then the same gold and XP. And then blue buff has 61 physical power, 30 armor, and 1600 health. So it has the highest armor of any of the buffs. Which is weird. Blue buff to me is not the strongest buff, or like the most tanky buff.
Right.
So I don't know. That's kind of weird, but that's something they can tweak and adjust as needed.
Again, though, like we were saying, the blue buff is in the ice. Is it Ice Wyvern? Yeah, Ice Wyvern lane.
Ice Wyvern, Fire Wyvern. Yeah.
Yes. So it will probably be the support and the ADC that are taking that buff. So maybe it is that powerful. But they seem to expect the duo to go Void Lane. But this is further evidence that it's more beneficial for them to go Ice Lane. Because then you have two people to take that buff.
The least damaging buffs are green and purple, which are in the Void Lane.
Right.
Red has the highest damage and blue has the highest armor. So yeah, it seems this weird. If you have two people in your lane that you want to come take these, at least for the purple buff, make it harder for those two people, not easier for them.
Right.
If they can walk up, sneeze on it, and it falls over and they get the buff, that's not beneficial for the game.
Right.
Especially when you're giving a 15% heal on one of them. So that's the other thing that'll be interesting with the purple buff, is if every time it comes up, the camp comes up, if the support and carry just roam and grab it right then, they have unlimited sustain in lane.
Yeah.
Basically 2.5 minutes. That's the timer. That once they kill it, they have 2.5 minutes till it comes up again. And they can go kill it again and get another 15% health and mana.
Which might make for a strong Void duo.
It could, or we'll see the Archmages do it, and you'll have roaming supports that'll come pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly convinced that the junglers won't just take it, especially in solo queue. But
I really think the junglers are going to take that purple buff every time.
Yeah. I mean, I will. No offense to Mangoose, but I will 100% be like, no, I'm just going to take this. Thanks, though. Unless I need your heal. If I'm like one hit and I'm like, oh, Mangoose, I will grace you with the presence of the purple buff, but you must use the effects on me.
I'll be like, nope, it's for me and the carry.
So I understand a little, but not really still. I still think Ice Lane is going to be the duo lane, especially with the strongest buff being there, armor-wise. It is kind of weird that the blue buff is away from the mage, but maybe they'll switch that. Maybe if Ice Lane does become the dominant duo lane, they'll switch the blue and purple locations.
I think they just put them. I think they just put blue and ice and red and fire because ice and fire. I think that was really
which makes
the
sense.
only justification.
I understand that logic behind it. So for the last couple stats, the Fire Wyvern and the Ice Wyvern have the same stats from what I could see. I was told that these stats are 99% going to be updated. Based on what I found, that makes sense. So because he took no damage, I don't know how strong they are. So Lord knows how hard they hit. But they have 85 armor. So they almost take about half damage. They're at like 57%, I think is what it is, what the figure is. But they only have 1,000 health. So they're nothing.
Just for the
test or something.
The test, yeah.
Because that's nothing. If you get 3 or 4 people on your team together, no matter what level you are, 1,000 health is nothing.
Yeah.
And if it's that easy to dodge the attacks, like if Skifter could do it by himself with nobody pulling aggro or anything like that, and you get 4 people in there, that's a dead Wyvern.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll scale because that was just the first one. So maybe the first one will be super easy to take, and then the second and third will be significantly more difficult. But I don't know for sure. That's just the stats that I had. Like I said, but I'm 99% sure 1,000 health, that at least is going to change. That's got to be 4,000 to 5,000 easily. Easily should be 4,000 to 5,000. The next thing is, so yeah, Fire Wyvern and Ice Wyvern are both the same in that regard. So Atropo's way more powerful than I gave him credit for. The guy's got 300 physical power, which in comparison to all the other camps, he just is packing a punch.
Yeah.
That was just a straight punch too. That doesn't include his abilities could be more damage or different damage or anything like that. Skifter didn't take any damage from the abilities themselves. So I have no idea what those do, whether they do magic damage. I would assume they'll do magical damage, but I don't know what the ratio looks like on that at all.
Well, that like purple laser thing just wiped Skifter out with one shot, right?
I think it did, but none of the damage numbers came up.
Yeah.
So it was hard to tell for sure. I wasn't 100% certain that it was the laser and not just like an extra punch or something. Yeah, something did an insane amount of damage to him. So Atropos is no slouch, that to say the least. He's got less armor than the Wyverns, or the Wyvern and the Wyvern, which I'm mixed on. If he does that much damage, yeah, I'm kind of okay with him having less armor,
yeah,
to be honest. But his health is the same problem as the Wyverns.
Yeah.
It's set at 1,000 right now. So it was super easy to kill him.
Definitely not going to be that way in the real game.
Yeah, I hope not.
And I wonder, because he's supposed to be a 3-phase encounter eventually, but it's only going to be 3rd phase in the alpha. I wonder how those numbers would change with the different phases.
Yeah, and I would assume he'll gain more armor and damage on each phase.
Right.
The big thing, and potentially health as well. You maybe, like I said, first phase, have him at like 1,000, and then it exponentially increases every phase after.
And the last time we talked about this, they made it sound like you get a reward for pushing his phase. So you could push him from phase 1 to phase 2, get a bunch of gold and get a buff and everything, and then just peace out, leave him at phase 2.
Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what they do for that reward of whatever the earlier phases give. Something I've explored in the past or thought about in the past is phase 1, whoever deals the final blow gets his buff, right, to the minions. So wherever they go, they buff the minions, but just them. Phase 2, it's whoever's present at the moment gets it, gets the buff and has to actually be in the lane. And then phase 3, we know it just gives it to the minions natively. So that could be like a logical progression for the buffs.
That would be cool.
But we have no idea if that's what they're actually going to do or not.
I would like that.
But because they haven't disclosed it, if UG uses that idea, I claim 10% of all proceeds for the game.
For the game.
For the game. Yep, 100%. Every proceed for the game. That's it.
Oh, shit. What else you had? You had, I don't think we covered the Skifter camps, did we?
They're the same as the lizards.
Okay.
So it's just 41 physical power, 15 armor, 600 health, 50 XP, or 50 gold, and 35 XP.
Okay. So the only thing remaining would be Malaia's
Malaia.
stats.
Best girl.
Best girl Malaia.
Dude, her stats are kind of nuts, to be honest.
Well, you put that booty on a thumbnail and people are going to click. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, you proved that the other day.
Yeah. Like a freaking 18% CTR in my click, which is the click-through rate. Like people that actually see the thumbnail and then click on it.
Yeah.
Mine's usually about 6 to 8%. 18% because of Malaia's booty.
Just proof that a good thumbnail it's all it takes, you know?
Yep.
But so Malaia's level 1 stats are fairly simple, right? She's got 55 physical power, no magical power, 30 armor, 25 magic resist, 525 health. This actually surprised me. 8.5 health per 5. Seems really high.
For regen, yeah.
And it increases almost by 1 a level, which is, again, really high. Considering she's also got lifesteal built into her kit.
Yeah. That's a lot of regen.
Yeah. So she's got 385 mana, 6 mana per 5, which again seems really high. For the small amount of mana she has, having 6 per 5 seconds adds up really quickly.
Yeah.
0.735 attack speed, no crit chance, no CDR, and then 480 move speed. But each of these, there are most of them increase per level in some capacity. The big ones, I think, are her health regen going up by 0.68 per level is nuts. Like the fact that she just gains that much extra health regen every level. And you have 20 levels in the game. So by the time she hits max level, she's got an extra 16 health regen, not including any items that she's built.
And with her ultimate, having a bunch of regen when you're invulnerable for a couple seconds is insane. That's insane.
And yeah, she'll have the regen on her ultimate that everything has extra life steal.
Right.
But she also has her passive that whenever she activates her passive, in the video it was set that it was always 50. Whenever her passive goes off, she gained 50 HP.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's how it's going to be in the future, right? There was no scaling on that from what I could see. But even at level 1, getting 50 health every time that passive goes off is a ton of health.
Yeah.
Considering how low her health pool is at 525. She's essentially getting 10% of her health pool back every handful of auto or basic attacks. It also, I don't know if this was a bug necessarily, but it also would heal her multiple times if she struck multiple targets.
Oh, really?
So I'm pretty sure it was a bug, but if she was fighting the lizards and her AoE slash hit 3 of them, she'd get 150 health back.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, so really terrifying. And I like I said, I'm willing to bet that's a bug because that's a lot of health.
Yeah.
And if you're in a team fight, gaining 200 health instantly because you had a good basic attack, not including any lifesteal you have beside that.
Yeah.
You could really do some serious work there.
You could get all the way down, activate your ultimate, and be all the way back to full. You'd have to kill her twice.
Yep, basically.
And unlike Noxus, she's moving around the entire time when you have to kill her twice.
Seriously. I was trying really hard to get the actual damage ratios for her, for her abilities and things. But the only one Skifter uses with any frequency is her dash. And most of the time he uses it in a non-damaging way. It's just for travel.
Right.
So for her dash, I actually was able to track down what I'm 99% sure her ratio is. I just have to look at here. Yeah. So it does 50 base damage for her level 1 dash, and then 47% of her physical power.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's actually insane.
Yeah, that dash is going to rock people.
Late game, she'll have 300 plus physical power. So she's doing 200 damage with her dash.
Yeah.
Twice?
A movement ability. That is nuts.
Let me just real quick just dash through you twice, deal 400 damage, and then auto you one time. Oh, well, you're dead. Sucks to be you.
Yeah, but now you're out of dashes. Where are you going to go? Doesn't matter because you're just going to...
I have my ultimate. Yeah. I have and it's on I think it's 12-second cooldown per dash. So really, if I enter with my dash, get both 400 damage out, and then save my ultimate till the last possible second, that lasts 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm going to have those dashes back up again to either execute you or just, see ya, this fight's not going my way.
Sounds fun.
Sounds terrifying to me. You're going to see a fed Malaia coming towards you and just be terrified.
Yeah.
She's just going to do so much damage, it's ridiculous.
And with her risk reward ability, she'll be able to get fed pretty quick.
Yeah. I think that's the ability that concerns me most in the game. If I had to say there's one ability that I'd be scared of in a non-direct way,
right? That's
the one. Because the idea of somebody on my team having that feast or famine ability terrifies me. Because it's going to force so many bad fights for bad Malaias.
Yeah.
I have to go get my stack. No, you don't. Please God, don't.
The way I think of it is Revenant in Paragon. Everybody saw his ultimate was like, oh my god, that's going to be so overpowered. You know how many fucking Revenants I killed after they ulted me? All the time.
Yeah. Because they think it's a free 1v1, and it's not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Malaia, I think it's going to be a case of our Malaia versus their Malaia most games.
Yeah.
Where their Malaia's 10 kills, all of them were stat counters. She's just popping off. Full 6 items before 20 minutes. And then our Malaia 0-10 chilling in the river, splashing around, trying to figure out how the game works, right?
Trying to swim around with her high heels.
Yeah. It's this scale. I actually really like the spread of the power for most of the camps. The Wyverns and Atropos are definitely going to have to be adjusted in some capacity. And I think Malaia, other than her dash dealing 40, almost 50% of her physical power, I think is in a good spot overall with her stats. Maybe the health regen's a little wacky, but it also seems like Ethereal's going to be a very high damage game, so the health regen may be offset of that.
I wonder if it will be a little more like League of Legends or Smite, because League of Legends, I know, has a really, like, when you blow somebody up, you blow them up. Like, they die quick.
Yeah, their time to kill is super short a lot of the time.
A Smite is kind of...
Yeah, Smite is the time to kill super short if you're at all fed. Like, the snowballiness of Smite, I think, is the problem.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see Ethereal being either like League, where it just, once you hit a certain point, you can just do that much damage. Or being like Smite in the same regard of that, if you snowball, you'll just terrorize an entire game. Especially with the Wyverns.
Yeah.
If you start snowballing, especially on Malaia, where she's got her feast ability, who's going to stop you from taking those Wyverns? Right? It's going to be a matter of going in and trying to get a clutch steal out more than it's going to be anything else.
That's a concerning amount of snowball type effects, I think. I really don't want to see this game be a snowball fest.
A downhill slope every game where it's just whoever snowballs faster.
I mean, you definitely need to be rewarded for doing well, but you can't make it so oppressive that people can't come back. You need to have something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm going to auto-lock Malaia more games than I don't because of fear that my team will have the bad Malaia. Especially at first, when she's one of out of the 7 people, you have to pick 6.
Yeah.
Right? I think she's always going to be one of those picks.
She kind of seems like a noob stomp sort of hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like people that don't know how to react to her, don't know how to like just get the hell away after she uses her ultimate, or how to dodge the dashes and such, are going to get rolled on. But as soon as the teams figure out how to fight against her, she'll get shut down pretty quick.
Yeah. I think Talos will have the opposite effect. I think Talos is the one that's most likely to be left out in a lot of games. But once people figure out how to play him and get his combos rolling,
right,
he'll start picking up in popularity real fast.
How to manage that stamina.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's an interesting question. Who do you think is going to be the one hero, the one myth that's left out more often than not of the 6 pool or the 7 pool?
Ooh. I mean, you're always going to have a Dante.
Always. Noxus, I feel like, is a must pick.
Yeah. Maybe Marina? Maybe people will go with crazy supports.
They'll do like Dante Aran.
I think
Leah, Dante
most
Talos.
likely it'll be Talos and Aran will be interchanged out the most. I think everybody else has a specific role. I think those are the only 2 that are interchangeable. I think Talos can do Aran's job. I think Aran can do Talos's job.
Yeah, and they're most likely going to be offlaners.
Right.
I think you might occasionally see Aran in the mid lane or the void lane, kind of replacing Noxus, but I think Noxus will still be somewhere on the map. I don't think you don't pick Noxus at all, because she just offers too much in the way of damage.
Like nobody flies like Leah. Nobody deals magic damage like Noxus. Nobody supports like Marina. Nobody's an ADC like Dante. But Talos and Aran, they're both melee, get in your face, dive on the enemy team kind of guys. So yeah, it's probably going to be Talos and Aran that'll be the 2 that are left out.
Which makes some amount of sense. I
shouldn't say 2 that are left out. One of them will be replacing the other in each match, I think.
Yeah, unless their stats are bonkers, right? If their stats are through the roof, if they have 80% ratios on their abilities,
right,
they're going to replace somebody else. There's no question about that.
I think Talos could possibly replace Marina as a support, because he does have a lot of support type abilities, but it'll be hard for him to get his stacks that way.
I think that's definitely possible, but it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be that after people figure him out a little more, that they're going to start seeing like, oh, I can mighty kick an uppercut and just absolutely dominate whoever I landed on. kind of like a Richter pull, right? If I land Richter pull, we just throw everything on this guy. And so you just have a Talos. If he lands Mighty Kick, that person's dead, right? Because the Mighty Kick into Mighty Uppercut plus all of his damage plus the carry on top of it. I think we're going to see a lot of Iran support as well for the same reason.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see Aaliyah, Noxus, Dante, and Malaia in every match.
Yeah. I think even Malaia, I could see being interchangeable, but I think because she's best girl, I feel like she's going to be in every game. She's the edgy character too, so everyone's going to want to play Malaia.
She is a little interchangeable with Talos and Iran, but she fits that more of an assassin. She is of the Reaper class. So that doesn't align as perfectly as Talos and Iran do.
And I think for Talos and Iran, it'll come down to which of their class abilities is more beneficial for their team. If with what we saw and how they explained opening the paths for the Berserkers, that's going to be an insane ability. Like, if you can knock down the right walls, that's going to be nuts. Being able to see the troll camp from lane, being able to open up jungle pathways or block them potentially. The potential there is huge. Whereas the Knights running around doing side missions to get an extra weapon or whatever it's going to be doesn't sound as impactful to
but
the game.
We don't know what they're going to gain from those side missions. Maybe it is going to be something super.
Talos is going to get like his stamina doubled. And it's going to be like, oh, okay, he's just broken after he gets his knight ability or his knight.
Double armor and double health.
Oh, God. Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, I don't know.
So the other thing we wanted to talk about today was kind of what we thought rotations would look like a little bit from the map that we saw. So what are your thoughts on like rotating from one place to, I guess we'll start with like Fire Lane. What are you thinking rotations are going to look most like from there?
I really think it's going to be dependent on what those trolls do. I think if the trolls just straight up open up portals, then that's going to be one thing. But I think what you're going to see a lot of is, have they shown an item like a teleport sigil where you can teleport back to a tower?
We've seen. And not that's in the shop currently.
Because I was thinking of that.
We don't have a ton of consumables either. So,
like Fire Lane would drop down, rotate over to Void, do a gank or whatever, and then go back to core and then teleport back to his own base, or maybe he could just run back. I think that's what we're going to see. I think Void Lane is going to be super, super dangerous to be in because it's so much easier, it seems, to just jump off of any point of the side lanes and get to Void Lane, whereas to get to any of the side lanes, you have to be a Sky Slayer or you have to have the portals open.
Yep, absolutely. And something that in the footage they sent us that I noticed, and I just haven't had time to make a video about it yet, is when he jumps from Fire Lane down to Void on the purple buff, you can see Talos and Iran in the middle of Void Lane running around. That's insane. We've talked about vision being a potential problem. That's too much. That being able to see that far and gain that much information.
You also see
distance away
how freaking huge Iran's ultimate is, because it looked like a fucking bomb went off on the Void Lane.
Yeah, it's gonna be that kind of vision is gonna be insane for like coordinated play.
Yeah,
being able to say, "Oh, I see their Iran in the middle of river. I'm jumping down into Void Lane. We can just go do whatever we want."
Whew.
So I'm coming up with a new theory now for the trolls, despite the fact that I made my video for them days ago. But you bring up an interesting point of having some kind of teleportation sigil. I'm thinking like Fault. In Fault, for I think it's 200 gold, you can buy a teleportation scroll, and any allied tower, you channel for 4 seconds, and you teleport to that tower. The trolls could give you that benefit.
That would be
neat. When you kill the troll, you get, like I've said before, in like a token of sorts, and then you can cast that token to teleport to an allied tower.
God, what
somewhere else on the map?
Bind that to? They're like all the buttons are already taken.
I'm not. Don't ask me that. I don't. I have no idea. For RIP controller users, right? But maybe it replaces your class ability while you have the token. I don't know. They could figure it out.
I don't know.
But that could be an interesting way to do it, because that would let you get from fire to ice lane. There's a dedicated thing that if I go kill this troll, I can get across the map to help my team. But if I miss it, I have to go the long way around and walk all the way across.
For whatever reason, that's something I never thought of, was portals from ice to fire and from fire to ice. I always thought just rotating from void to ice or void to fire.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I never even thought about a portal that takes you straight over.
Yeah, we've talked about the archmages being in the void lane, being able to go both ways.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's never thought about going from one across to the, like Pac-Man style. You just leave the map on one side and enter it back on the other, right?
Yeah.
Which there's part of me hopes that isn't possible. I hope it's not possible to do that, because that would make rotations on the wyverns 10 times worse. Because you're going from being able, if I get a kill on my laner and I've got the junglers nearby, we go and we kill fire wyvern.
Right.
Then I open this portal from fire to ice lane. We all rotate over, join the duo lane, kill their laners, get the ice wyvern at the same time. Then take the portal back or whatever, or reset back to base and go on a merry way.
Yeah.
If you just do that every time the wyverns come up, that's just an instant 6-stack wyvern.
Yeah.
Which just ends the game. And I think people talked about it in last week's Enter the Ether, on my video, on your video. The 6-stacking wyverns is too strong.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right? If they get all 6, even however unlikely it may be, if they get all 6, they win the game outright. You may as well just surrender.
Yeah.
Because even if you can fight your way back into the game, it's going to take you 45 minutes, like an hour, like tops. Where you're just really, you have to take every ounce that they give you and perfectly execute it the whole time to fight against that in any way.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to survive. I don't think that's going to survive testing. The permanent buff stuff.
Yeah. Not both of them, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you give one or the other, but even just giving the buff permanently is probably too strong always. But the fact you're getting the permanent buff, it's doubled up if you have both of them, and you're getting a power and armor increase on top of that. That's just too much. You're just stacking it.
Maybe make it last a little longer than normal when you take the third one, instead of like double the duration of it.
Yeah, and I'd be okay with longer than normal. Instead of 2.5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. So then the enemy team has to play safe for 5 minutes. But they're not just screwed the rest of the game because of it as well.
Yeah.
Something for them to figure out for sure.
A lot going
We'd
on.
love to come in and test the game at UG if you'd have us.
You want us to give it a try.
Yeah, we'd be happy to tell you if we think the wyverns and wyverns are too strong.
Yeah.
You know where to find us.
I already think they're too strong. I haven't even played it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the next thing for me with all of this information, though, we've kind of covered, is finding like optimal rotations of jungle camps.
Mm-hmm.
Going like, okay, if I go lizards to red buff to skifters to chonker, that gets me level 3, and then that's my fastest level 3 to go to a lane somewhere, right? And figuring out those little nuances of basically starting my jungle rotation planning now, because we have the XP and gold awareness already.
And I think a lot of these camps are going to be taken by laners.
I do too, and I hate it.
There's so many camps, Jelly. You got so many camps.
No, I want all of the camps.
Let the laner have something to do. I really like that idea of having something for, if you push your lane all the way up, you don't want to go forward because you're afraid of getting a 4-man gank out of freaking nowhere. Or at least a 3-man with a Sky Slayer or something. You can hang back and go do your camp. Of course, then
I think
they might just be waiting for you at that camp.
I think for that, you're going to see a lot of those laners probably get the chonker or troll camps.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the stronger ones. It's going to take me longer to get. Whereas like in a dual lane setting, the two of them can go over, beat down the chonker really quickly, get that quick bonus of extra gold and XP. versus taking some of the other camps that might be actually more beneficial for the jungler to take.
If I'm not mistaken, though, those looked pretty close to lane, though, right?
The chonkers?
The trolls and the chonkers.
The trolls are, yeah, basically, if you're in the side lanes, there's the pit of whichever wyvern or wyvern you have.
Yeah.
There's a wall on the other side, and then just behind that wall is the troll camp. So you could easily go up there and take the troll camp, no problem.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to see somebody taking that troll camp. There's going to be a fight over it.
You'll see them walk toward it, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's hard though if your lane gets pushed in, it's going to be you have to make the decision of, do I stop my lane from being pushed in, or do I go stop them from taking the troll camp real quick?
Right.
And I think again that'll come down to what that rotational
advantage is.
Yeah.
Is it worth more than a tower?
If it turns out to be a teleporter or a teleport of some kind, you have to take it. Like, you can't let the other team get that because the rotational advantage there is just too much.
They'll be on you all day long.
Yep. And that's something like, if you're cooperating as a team, if I see the enemy Dante Marina going for the troll camp and it's a teleporter, my whole team has to be on edge now, because if they can just teleport across the map, they can show up, turn a lane with double jungler, turn a lane into a 5v1 because they got the troll camp. So now we all have to retreat back and play safe. And we talked about it before. Their towers have to be perfect to stop some kind of dive meta from forming.
Yeah. You know what'll be interesting as well is, like, Malaia's rotations are going to be a lot different than like Leah's rotations, because Leah could just fly from camp to camp, but Malaia can climb from camp to camp. So which one's going to be faster, climbing or flying?
Yeah.
Or would it be faster to just break down the wall to get to the next camp with a run?
With a berserker? Yeah. And I think you're going to see from jungler to jungler, those rotations be different.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And then you can choose as that jungler, right? If that's kind of the meta, right? If I'm playing a berserker and I have to go red to skifter to chonker to lizards, like, that's the berserker camp rotation. I can choose to do differently because the enemy team is expecting me to play the standard berserker. That's where you get into that rock paper scissors effect of all the different options, but choosing to do the best one versus one that may cause different feelings. Something that could be a huge problem for Ethereal is invades.
Yeah, that's what I was just now thinking. Like, at the beginning of the game, you're going to want your Sky Slayer just hovering and watching for an invade.
UAV Sky Slayer just chilling up there. I mean, when we played Predecessor last, my whole strategy is I'm playing Chimera. They think I'm going to start red. I'll just go invade their blue, take that entire side of the camp, come back for my red, and go get my blue on top of it. And then, because there was very little they could do rotationally to come get me if they had spotted me out. I could either just back up and get away for free, or I would get all of those camps for free as well. And so I think Ethereal being as spread out as it is could have a huge problem with invades in that same regard. Because if I know that both of their junglers are starting Fire Lane or Fire Lane and green buff, if I stay on the right side of the map, nobody's going to be able to rotate fast enough for me to take a couple camps and leave.
Warding is going to have to be on point.
Yeah.
Warding and rotations.
Warding absolutely will be something that needs to be done. And I swear to God, Astro, if you do not ward on my team, I will call you out. I'm not afraid to. I will keep beating this into his head. Warding is not optional.
Do you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I think that was it for me this week. What about you, Mangoose?
I got nothing. Like I said, you're leading the dance this week. I'm just following. Be gentle with me. You dug deep. I really appreciate it, and hopefully the community really appreciates all the hard work you put in. I want to see that. I want to see that jungle rotation video where you.
It's coming. I'm gonna go all out on that one. Trying to think about and maybe I'll take into consideration some of those class abilities and try and plan routes according to that as well.
Yeah.
I think the hardest one will be which walls are destructible for the berserkers,
Right.
and how long that channel is to fly. I think Reapers, it's going to be pretty quick that I can just run up to a wall and start climbing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be simple. But the other two may cause problems.
Or if you're Malaia, you just dash to the top of the wall and then...
Oh my god, dude. Her dash is so broken. Her dash is so broken.
All right, I think that's going to about wrap it up. You got anything to plug this week, Jelly?
Videos, man. I'm doing my own video, kind of breaking everything down in a lot more detail. How I got here, the formulas, the whole nine. So if anybody wants to check my math, please do, because most of the time I was doing this at like midnight. So
I sure as hell ain't going to check it.
There was like a 1 a.m. message to Skifter, like, is this right? Am I doing this correctly? 3 days later, yeah, you got it. Okay, cool, thanks, man. Like, but yeah, so I'm breaking it all down. I'll have my jungle rotation video. Lots of cool videos coming. So that's about it for me. What about you, Mangoose?
Awesome. Yeah, same. A bunch of videos. Got some Project Stamina videos coming out.
There you go.
I want to do a business comparison between all the different games that I track. Like, everybody
cool.
always compares them, like gameplay wise. I want to compare them from their business model. So
yeah,
that should be a good one. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed all of Jelly's hard work, and hopefully a lot of the stuff that we're predicting doesn't come to fruition. Hopefully it gets stopped in testing and we don't have this crazy snowball of a game. But if we do, hopefully Jelly Goose will be on the snowballing side of it. But until then, I hope you all join us as we enter the ether. Let me get all my sniffles and coughs out.
Right now. All of them for the next 30 to 40 minutes. Glad I was recording all of that.
Yeah, good to go. All right. Mango.